Hi, everybody. Wow, okay, that's loud. I'm going to whisper. Good morning. Did you all have coffee? You're like awake? So, first of all, thank you, Ivan, for inviting me here. Barcelona is just, yes, exactly. Thank you for believing. That's true, you know. There's not. This is true. I've had in the last couple of years a lot of disbelievers. I went on the forums this morning and just got a nice dose of it, just to like give me some, you know, some power. But yes, thank you. So it's great to be here, and so the topic today is gaming on the Ethereum blockchain, right? Anybody kind of familiar with the Ethereum blockchain? Do you know what that possibly is? One gentleman? Anybody else? No? Okay, wow. No, I come from exactly that same space. So this is kind of, I'm going to share with you today the discoveries that I've made in the last few months, and I've dived very quickly into this, and of course I'm only scratching the surface. But what the blockchain is, and I'm probably the worst person in the world to actually try to define it for you, is it's a sort of peer-to-peer ledger system. So basically, a group of computers connect to ratify things that occur. And typically speaking, there's been a system where when that occurs and it becomes a block where a bunch of information is added to the blockchain, so a bunch of transactions are ratified by a group of computers, all the computers that play the role in ratifying the information get coins. And this is where Bitcoin has come from. And so people have moved around these coins, and then all of these mining computers sort of recognize the blocks, and you then have this sort of concrete history of transactions that's secure. So this is, let's say, the first blockchain that many of us are aware of, and we know that the coins that were created for mining Bitcoin have become a currency, and a very secure currency that currently has a market value of about $40 million. And countries around the world are starting to look at that as, let's say, the legal tender for the future. So, on that note, there's been a lot of experimentation with blockchains, but there's another one that has emerged that's very, very interesting, and it's called Ethereum. So this blockchain has been designed where anybody can actually create their own coins, their own tokens on top of this blockchain. So in effect, you can create a token, and a token can represent anything you like. It could represent a coin, or it could represent a sword, or it could represent a mineral. Any sort of item that you could possibly come up with that you would put inside a game, you can actually have this token represent it. And then what you can do is, when you have these tokens, you can trade them with anybody else anywhere in the world simply by them having an address and you having an address. And all of the computers in between that are ratifying the fact that the transaction occurs are effectively your network. So there's no cost to move things around the planet. I mean, there's a very small cost on the blockchain, but not the same cost that we're familiar with when we create a game and we have servers, etc., etc. So the potential of this is very, very interesting. And one of the things that they've introduced with Ethereum is they've introduced democracy. So that basically, with these tokens, you can create contracts. And the tokens represent effectively votes. And you can manage communities with
los votos. Y puedes gestionar comunidades.
which is written into the blockchain and is completely transparent. Now, what's interesting about that, I don't know if anybody has any idea of what I'm talking about right now, but where we're moving to currently in the world is nobody trusts anybody anymore. And it's because sort of there's just this sort of corruption that goes along with power that's unavoidable. And because we're all invested so heavily into our digital lives, we are now starting to realize that we have to have transparency. We got to know what's going on behind the scenes, because we're just investing so much of ourselves into everything that we do. Up until now, it just wasn't possible for us to have that transparency, and the developers really couldn't provide it and wouldn't want to provide it, because they need to play their games behind the scenes to manage their community and deal with their finances. But the blockchain and Ethereum, the whole ethos is transparency. So basically, as you write your code, it could be a game code, it goes onto the blockchain and anybody can read it. And then if they interact with your code, with their tokens, they know that the results of their interaction are fair. And you can manage, if you're a game developer, a community through a democratic system utilizing these blockchain contracts, these smart contracts. So, okay, again, it's all very, very, very new, and you wouldn't necessarily think, wow, this is a gaming platform, but it is. This may be the, I'm going to say, I'm very confident that this might be the next great platform for gaming. Because effectively, it's peer-to-peer, it's entirely global, there's no publishers involved. The only thing that the only cost outside of the cost that you add to the equation are a little bit of gas that's involved in sending a transaction, and then that the money for that gas is basically distributed between all of the computers that ratify your transaction. So in a way, as developers, this platform offers us complete freedom as well, and it's extraordinarily liberating. I mean, every time I've been involved, especially I'm in the massive multiplayer online game virtual world, you know, that's my background, and always I would be creating an account, logging, you know, and everything is inside this particular world, and so it was so centralized, and suddenly to be able to literally just send a skill point to your computer just by you giving me an address, and having that, basically that avatar database instantly appear without having to build it, is really a revolutionary, a revolution. So I'm going to, so you're going to want to explore this. You're going to hear more and more about Ethereum. Ethereum has grown. Right now, I think it has a $30 billion market value. It was launched about a year and a half ago. At about, it had initially a 30 cents price. The coins are at $300 a coin right now, and yeah. So you can go to their site and you can learn. They're completely transparent about how to write all of the code. So that's Ethereum.org. And they will actually give you the code from the site where you can create in 30 seconds your own token. And then you can also create a crowdfunding contract that's completely transparent. You can learn how to create a democratic organization. That could be a guild, a gaming guild. So there's also a few other sites where you'll see all the latest games and apps that are in development. And I have a feeling, just like with the App Store and the Apple, and how rapidly developers started to create content for it, I think that we're about to see that level of content occur for the blockchain. A company just 3 weeks ago raised $150 million with Ethereum. It's called Mobile Go, for their Mobile Go tokens. And right now, this $30 billion market value that's all sitting in Ethereum, these guys are looking to invest in projects for the Ethereum blockchain because they want to obviously speed up adoption as much as possible. So it's a very, very hot area. So here's the thing about it. I don't know, is that still working? Okay. I was trying to solve a problem, a couple of problems. The problem that I was trying to solve was how to, with all of the MMO virtual world communities that I've been involved with, I've found that they've all reached a point where they stopped growing. Even though the world is great, the content is getting better, there just seems to be the inability to grow beyond a certain point. It could be that because there are multiple MMOs and because each MMO demands so much of your time to build up your avatar, you just can't possibly spend the time in every one. So basically you end up with this sort of population stagnation. And that means that all of the skill that the players are developing inside these worlds and all of these fantastic items that they might have created or all these shops that they've stocked, there's a very limited market. So, what I've been trying to do is figure out, well, how do we overcome that? How can we connect one world, one virtual world with another? How can we unite them? I've been watching what's been happening with virtual reality, all of the massive investment in virtual reality, because of course the technology is becoming really exciting, and I'm just seeing the same problem occurring all over again. Everybody's investing in their ideas and literally billions of dollars, and nothing's properly connected. The only way that they're connected is through the Oculus store or through HTC Vives and Steam, and then it's a sort of a layer on top where you have this shopping mall of apps and then you're paying Steam and whatever and you get your share. But this is not going to work, right? Because we, the gamer, we need to move within these worlds. We need, it's like the real world. We need to, if we live in Spain, we want to be able to just get on a plane and go to France or the USA, and we want to have our money in our pocket. And yeah, we might want to exchange it into dollars or francs, or maybe you don't do that anymore because it's the euro, but I left London before all that happened. But we certainly don't want to get on a plane and arrive in Paris and suddenly we're back in diapers, right? I mean, it's ridiculous. We have to take our skills with us. Now, maybe we can't, if you're a doctor, you might not be able to, well, actually you can now. You can practice in different countries. Maybe, America and Europe, you have to have a license. But effectively, our skills are interoperable in the real world. And that's what creates a global economy. I mean, in fact, the world was all separate, and there was all little economies and little communities, and now that we are a global community and a global economy, things are just extraordinary. They're popping. The technology advances are exponential, right? So the thing is, you might think, okay, well, that's the real world, but what does that have to do with games? Well, hey, guess what? It's the same thing. Games are, especially virtual worlds, but I think this can extend to even individual games and apps, etc. I'll explain why, but effectively, we spend so much time in these worlds, it's real. And there is already now a need to be able to move as freely between games as we move in the real world. Okay, we got to be able to take our skills with us. We've got to be able to take our money. We have to be able to take our items. Maybe not everything. Maybe some worlds are going to be like, well, you can't use that sword, or you're not going to bring that laser rifle from the future into our medieval fantasy because that's going to spoil it. Well, okay, that's fine. But there's some things that you can bring with you. You can bring your currency. Maybe some of your skills are applicable. What this does is it enables us to grow our game economy to a much, much greater level. Okay, it means that there's more value for the time of the player. And this is maybe another important thing to consider that's always been, maybe something very close to me. And as developers, I do develop, I have a world. I still think more of myself as a gamer. But effectively, the business model for developers has been to create content and to sell it, right? And then even when things became free to play, it was like, how many ways can we sell people power-ups, right? So you're really just trying to, get as much money as you can from the player. Okay, this was the beginning. I mean, as human beings, we've done all kinds of stuff at the beginning of things. In America, we, had slavery, and we didn't give it, we didn't care, right? But that's how we killed all the Native Americans, That's how we did it. But at a certain point, it doesn't work, right? And I don't think that it works in games anymore. I don't think that you can treat your players like that you're just going to, steal all of their time and take as much of their money as possible. That's not a long, you're not going to get any longevity. You're going to run into problems as developers trying to stay in business for two years after you've raped your players during the first year. So there's another model, right? And the other model is that you cut them in. You say, you take, okay, well, instead of I got to make, my 100% of the pie, my revenues, well, let me give 20% back. So and people are doing this now, of course. Everybody's doing it with rewards. The airline's doing it. You buy a flight, you get some miles, you can use it. So, yeah, you start to work into your business model. Right, so I'll get this money. I'm going to give this back as rewards. Okay? Okay, well, a new thing that I've just introduced, because guess what? That's not enough. Today, it's not enough. I'll tell you why. Because we're on the verge of another technological revolution, and that is artificial intelligence and robotics. And that's gonna take all of the not even just the working class, gonna take so many jobs away from the real world. It's almost inconceivable how that's gonna change the landscape. A lot of countries are starting to consider basic income because they can see this coming. So they're thinking, Jesus, we're going to just have to, the wealth of the countries is still going to be there because the industry is going to be there with the robots and the AI doing everything, but it's just the jobs won't. So now you're going to have like a bunch of rich robots and poor human beings. So we better give the humans some money so they can at least be content. So that's actually on the cards. But humans will not be content unless they can actually find opportunity and engage with each other. And having a job is more than about a wage. It's about, you know, having a place in the world. So these people that are going to be displaced are going to, the place they're going to be most comfortable is in the gaming world, because games offer all of the opportunities that we, you know, that we love to find in life. They offer community, they offer competitiveness, they offer, through MMORPGs, avatar development, and they offer incredible economic opportunity. So going back to the concept of giving rewards, well, there's something else you can give. How about paying people to play your games? Okay? And this is because I've already realized, having been in MMOs for 15 years, that it doesn't quite work to say, hey, you can play my game for 3 weeks, you know, we're going to let you get to level 20, and then you're going to have to start paying, right? It's like, okay, they get to level 20, and maybe they start paying, and maybe they just leave, okay? But what if, how much would it really cost you as a developer to say, okay, you can start playing, and I'm just going to give you a basic wage. You play for a couple of hours a day, and hey, $10 a month. I've just started a program in our virtual world, ROCKtropia, where we're paying $15 a month to people to hunt artificial intelligence bots. And it's an MMORPG, so they're like, you know, literally they get their gun and they're shooting them, and basically what I realized is by giving them that $15 a month and not taking it away, first of all, it's only going to eat up about 5% of my gross revenue, okay? And what happens is that these people then have this money that they can use to invest in their avatars and building businesses and, you know, whatever, even if they want to go and blow it all playing, effectively the money ends up back in the economy. So it's possible to actually pay people to play your game. So now as a developer, well, okay, so maybe 20% of your gross revenue is going to rewards or loot. Another 10% is going to, you know, actual wages. There's still plenty left for you, and because of the fact that we no longer really have to have publishers in the same way that we used to, you can, if you offer jobs to people, if you offer people money to play your games, right, then, well, you can take that out of your marketing budget. Instead of wasting money on advertising, people will be like, oh, that game, that one I can make $10 a month, and that one I can make 12, and, you know, of course you're still going to have to do your marketing, but you, instead of wasting that huge chunk, right, which, by the way, marketing games is becoming increasingly difficult, and the ROI from traditional banner out, it's all ridiculous. I mean, it's, the return, Google, and I love Google, but they take most of the money, right? So the money, the time and energy of players playing your games and your revenue is basically going back to Google, right? Or back into advertisers, and instead of it going back to the players and giving them value. So this is now possible, but what really takes that to the next level is when these rewards, these skills, these wages, whatever it is, when it becomes interoperable, so that all of our games are connected in that way. And then we have this potential for this massive economy that can lead to exponential growth, just like the growth that we have in the real world. So I think the way I look at game developers is you're world developers. Whether you're creating a single app or adventure, you know, or a puzzle, that puzzle or that app is actually still, I mean, in this world, this world is full of puzzles and adventures and social experiences, and some of them are self-contained, and so you might make something that just seems like a little game, but it doesn't have to be just a little game that's disconnected to everything else. It can be, it's part of the big gaming universe. So since the world is changing, right, and since game developers have to consider new ways to monetize, otherwise you won't be able to develop games, you have to look at what's happening in the, especially on an exponential level, how the world is changing, and you have to consider new models. And this is a time to consider this model. So now, these were the problems that I was considering, and was it like end of 2015, I decided to run for president of virtual reality, okay? It was a pretty far out concept. And of course I knew that I was going to be subject to tremendous ridicule, and especially the virtual reality at that point was explosive. Everything was Facebook this, and Oculus this, and 2 billion this, and 3 billion that, and all these guys are like, yes, and I've got the greatest new game, and this is all fantastic, and what the hell is this president of virtual reality? What a bunch of, right? Okay. Funnily enough, I have a background in a virtual universe. These people are like, you're not my president, right? You don't stand, we don't want this. So the worst thing in the world was to become the president of virtual reality, but I did it because because I feel like we got to unite these worlds, right? And that we have to give the users, the players, more respect and more engagement for all of the reasons I've just described. So I went on a mission, okay? Hey everybody, here's how we're gonna do it. We are gonna have a teleportation system, and we're going to join all the worlds together through teleportation. And I'm going to raise $1 billion dollars, and I'm going to create 200 million jobs with that. So the first thing that happened, as I said, the virtual universe that I was involved with, Entropia Universe, the players revolted. Okay, they're like, he's not our president, and it was. I'm being very, the things that the descriptions were quite incredible. So the developers even went out, and as far as saying, we will not do the teleportation system. They had to calm the mob, right? And I knew as I was reading all this that they didn't get it. They just thought I was going to add fees, even though I'd explained it, right? They just thought, oh, this is another way to get money out of us. We don't want to pay for teleportation. We need to teleport left and right, and you're not going to. I'm like, dude, in my description, it's like, no, the pieces to make a teleport token, when you're, whatever game you're playing, whatever you're doing, you're going to collect little fragments, and then you'll trade the fragments between each other, and then one guy will actually manufacture the tokens, and then you put them in the thing, in the teleporter, and then the token gets fragmented back, and then somebody else is going to loot a fragment, and somebody else is going to mine a fragment, and basically you're going to have a whole other layer to your economy which will help sustain it at a certain level when other parts of your economy are not even working, because we can rely upon the fact everybody needs to teleport. But they didn't want to know, okay? So here I am with this great idea for an infrastructure for virtual reality, the highways, and even the people who use teleportation the most didn't want to know. So nevertheless, that's where Ivan believing in me, because last year in December, I was in Uruguay, right? Is Uruguay? I always get it confused with Ecuador, but Uruguay, and telling this whole story, and talking about AmeVRica, a virtual reality where we're all building the different components of it, without an idea of how actually I was going to do it. So that's when I already knew about Ethereum, and I'd been told by a guy, a little birdie, had whispered in my ear a year ago, 2 years ago, and said, hey, you should make coins on this thing. And I was like, yeah, it's great. I love it. It's great. I didn't get it. So in January, I was like, wait a minute. You know what? Maybe I'll make my teleport tokens on this blockchain, because then I don't have the teleportation systems in all of the worlds, but I could make the token, and then we can build the worlds afterwards. And so I found this Ethereum, and I created the token, and I realized, crap, I can send this to people. And then I realized, wow, I can create some other tokens. I'll create the NEVERDIE token, and that one will be the token that when you die, you got to have one of those to come back to life. Because that's another thing that we do in every single game, right? Every game, pretty much, you know, they die. We die, and we die all the time. That's where NEVERDIE comes from. So I was like, well, that's a good token for the infrastructure of virtual worlds. If we have teleportation and never dying, and we have a token for it, and we all use that token, right? That will connect our worlds. And if the token is something that the players actually collect the little bits and pieces and they manufacture it together and trade them, okay. Whatever else we do on top of that, we got some common ground. So I was able, and I tried to get some the top people on Ethereum to work with me, and they were so busy actually, because their currency was exploding and they were becoming millionaires overnight, and then suddenly nobody's calling me back. So I'm like, shit, I'm just going to have to do it myself. And I found and I can't code, but I figured out a way to make the tokens myself. I'm like, okay, I'll 10 billion teleport tokens. That should cover it. Wait, let me give it 18 decimal places, because you never know how many times they're going to need to be used. So I made 10 billion teleport tokens. I made 400 million NEVERDIE coins. And I did that because in 2016, the US issued 400 million new quarters. So I figured, right? It's a currency for buying lives. So I took that model. And so I figured, okay, now I got this, the teleporter coins, I'll start their value at 10 cents. So that's $1 billion. So if I can sell some teleport tokens, although I might not be able to raise $1 billion, I'll have $1 billion market cap for the teleportation system. And I thought, well, with the NEVERDIE coin, I was being a little bit more humble or less ambitious, just to cover myself. So I thought, well, I'll sell, so I'll put a market value of 100 million on those. I'll sell them at 25 cents to start with, and maybe I could sell 10 million or 40 million, raise 10 million bucks. Okay, on a wing and a prayer, right? So in the process of all that, I did it all, and this Ethereum blockchain is exploding because there's so many other things that you can do with it. Some people just created tokens for using other people's computer time for when you want to do creative projects and you need extra bandwidth. And so basically it's a currency to be shared between creative people. There are banking applications that are coming out. There's community management. There's actually Ivan's, your friend, Aragorn, is it Aragorn? He launched, how much he raised? He raised $100 million. Okay, so a friend of Ivan's, just out of the blue, his son just started a company. They raised a Spanish guy, right? $100 million for a community management, like a democratic system, so you can manage your communities. So anyway, I was a little bit worried that I missed the boat because I hadn't listened to that little birdie that told me. So I created my first tokens, right? And then my main right-hand man, who does a lot of our web stuff, and he works with me on all my flow graphs for our virtual world, and just pretty much does my engine and everything. So he created a nice alpha wallet so we could see the tokens in a So basically, this is our alpha wallet. This is what it looks like. If you don't have any Ethereum, it tells you right away how you can set up your Ethereum wallet and can be connected to it. So basically, there's like there's something called MetaMask or MetMask, which is a little wallet that will contain your Ethereum balances. And it sits, you can actually download it, and it's like a plugin to your Chrome browser. And I'm going to do that right now. So here we go. So I'm going to plug in my... All right, let's see what happens here. Oh yeah, okay. So now this will go away. And this is my wallet right here, my MetaMask, and I can actually create as many addresses inside it as I like, right? So, and then my alpha wallet, or your alpha wallet, if you're developing games, right, it will read the balances of various tokens. So, for example, I didn't set this up for this, so this just happens to be the way what I've got in various wallets. So in this particular wallet, right, what have we got? Okay, we got, I made some love tokens, okay. I did a deal with Michael Jackson with his estate right after he died, and it was a really emotional kind of a thing, and I went to the estate and I said to them, look, this is what Michael wants. He wants his own virtual world, because he did. And then we're going to be able, the players will be able to do stuff, and then we can send money to the Save the World Foundation. It'll be fantastic. And they were like, okay, let's do it. And then we started building it all, the demos, and then I fell out with all of the partners. It became, I understood what Michael Jackson's life was like, and it was horrendous. It was truly. So when I created this, Michael popped into my mind, and his big thing just before he died, if you saw that documentary, was LOVE. It's all love, love. And so I wanted to create a love token, so that, you know, we can move it around. We also created a karma token. I don't know if Richard Garriott is in the house. But Richard was the first person to introduce, maybe correct me if I'm wrong, Richard, but the idea of introducing karma into virtual world. So we thought that karma was something to consider. So basically I wanted to introduce a few of the basic things. We introduced skill. So we have skill in our wallet. And as the game developer, we can create games now, and we can distribute these skills. And people will have, this is sort of like the avatar interface, they will be able to see how much skill they've got. Even here, we've got hit points. So they'll know how many hit points they've got. They'll see what, currently we haven't done our inventory, but you can imagine through this process, we have here VR gold, VR silver, we have respect tokens. We've got that's the Lost Soul Fund. That's code. We've got antlers. So we've got various items that you might find inside a game. We have tokenized, and you can see them in your wallet. And that wallet could be, will be redesigned so that your inventory is much more the classic game design. Here's your avatar. We already created, just in our alpha, the avatar process. So you can have different avatars. You can choose. Okay, so basically your options with avatars are going to be limited to how many tokens you've got. So if you don't have enough skill, you won't be able to unlock the various avatars that would be possible. So you can see it's already telling me I need more NDC in my wallet. So in effect, you can create an interface that reads how many tokens are inside your wallet, and you can then unlock different gameplay or different customization based on that. So we've already put the gameplay in, so I can't even show you some of these various avatars. But and these different avatars could be cosmetic, and we know people pay a lot of money in power-ups in various games just for, you know, having a different avatar to look at. But also these different avatars could have different skills that they could unlock that will enable you to, you know, do more stuff. So this is all connected to. This is all inside your wallet. So I'm going to show you a few other things that we've done with this. Okay, let me explain a little bit more. I'm going to switch. So I'm in my MetaMask wallet. By the way, I'm making all of this up as I go along, so I'm just kind of like train of thought. It's not like a, you know, because it's all so new to me. So I'm explaining it as how I've sort of discovered it all. But so in my MetaMask wallet, I've actually divided this because we're already creating our game. We're already sending people tokens, and we have a game community. And this is interesting. So I have already a virtual world. It's called ROCKtropia. It's an MMORPG with the CryEngine, and people have been playing that for years. And I have an in-game currency called the ROCKbuck, and you only get this currency if you are entering into instances. So, for example, if you're playing the game and you have the main currency, which is the Entropia dollar, which you buy for US dollars, then you go and visit ROCKtropia, which is my planet, and then you know, go hunt a monster. You'll get all kinds of loot. Go mining, you'll get various loot. But to get that loot doesn't really mean that you've really invested in our economy. You haven't participated on any great level. But if you want to enter one of our instances, you need a key. And the keys, all of our keys are manufactured by crafters, but they all require a variety of raw materials from hunters, miners, and what have you. So even other crafters. So basically, the moment that you buy a key, you are actually driving the economy of our entire planet. So what we decided to do before I realized I could pay people $10 to $15 a month to play is I decided, okay, I'll pay them 10 ROCKbucks an hour if they're running our instances, because then they're driving our economy. Now they have this bonus currency, which we decided that we would allow them to trade that currency for stuff that we would build custom things for them, shops, certain times of customization in terms of shops or even instances. But when I discovered the blockchain, what I realized is, hey, I'll let them trade now the ROCKbucks with the NEVERDIE coins, and we'll figure out the exchange rate. So now I can actually give them cash, and I don't have much cash to give them, so I'll just give them my NEVERDIE coins because I got $400 million worth, right? So, and the thing is, if I manage it correctly and I make sure that there's enough scarcity, then those coins that I give them will actually have value, and they'll trade between, they'll exchange them for Ethereum. So that's the theory, right? So, running out of time? Okay, guys, look, you can go to neverdie.com, you can see our wallet. You can go to ethereum.org and you can read how to do this yourself. I found ways so quickly to bootstrap the connection between our existing world and the blockchain, and so I'm sure you will too. We're going to build API to connect and to use the NEVERDIE coins and the teleport tokens in other worlds, so you could use them. We're raising money, and I'm going to tell you my little story for the day because it's kind of fun. You know, I did this all by myself, as I explained. Well, we're launching what's called an ICO tomorrow. It's initial coin offering, and there's been a lot of silly money that's been going into them. And I really didn't have my shit together, to be honest with you. I was just scrambling to pull it all together. I hadn't even published a white paper. We have it now. I'm going to publish it later today, just in time for the ICO. But we did start a pre-sale, okay? And about 3 weeks ago, we started on our website, okay? I'm going to just quickly show you this before I get off the stage, because this is, I want to inspire you, okay, to show you what is possible. So we just, you know, put it on the website. We built that wallet, a bit of information, the white paper, look, you'll see, under review. That means we don't have one, okay? But sorry to everybody who's already invested. No, it was in the works. Okay, so just with that, right? And then you could literally click buy coins. It would take you into that wallet, or at the bottom, we have this stuff here. So pretty much in the first 4 days, I was just giving currency to the players in ROCKtropia and then doing a little bit of viral marketing, and the money started coming in. And then the first big one, okay, was $50,000 right out of the blue, dude. Somebody threw in 50 Gs. I mean, it was really a great moment. And we took some of that 50 right away and actually invested into some more serious marketing. We almost paid like some of the developers to start doing stuff for us. And then we're like, dude, we can do this ourselves. Let's not throw this money away. So 50, 60, 70, 80, 100, 120, kind of got sort of held up at 140. Meanwhile, I got contacted by a Korean company that's doing stuff. They love cryptocurrencies in Korea, and they're like, we love this. We love this in Korea. We have an incredible gaming community. We're gonna do stuff. I'm like, okay, what do you want me to do? They're like, well, translate your website to Korean. Here, look, we'll do all the translations. You put it in. I'm like, okay, I'll do it. Here we go, right? So just pretty much before I got to Barcelona, I woke up one morning, actually the night before I went to sleep, and we screwed everything up, you know. We just had, everything was messed up. It was just, it's going to be a disaster, this whole launch. I woke up the next morning, and there was $500,000 in our wallet, okay? And the other night, 2 nights ago, I was having dinner with all of the fantastic guests here. I was sitting next to Richard, and I looked at the wallet, and we crossed $1 million. And just before I came down here, I was at $1.7 million, and my team is just struggling to process. We are sending tokens manually to people all over the world, and we have not launched it, and we haven't published a white paper, which means they don't even know what I'm going to do with the money, okay? They just like the idea of teleportation and the idea that it can be a common currency between games. So I stand before you as a guy that's been absolutely out of his mind, out on a limb, trying to connect worlds, and I found a way to have peer-to-peer trading of tokens that can represent any type of gaming item, and I've already been given $2 million before I've started the sale to basically empower me to say this is going to work. And I've set it up so I can raise 50, 60, maybe $200 million. But here's the thing, that's not enough money to do what I want to do by any means. Where the money that I need, because you know what I need money for? I need the money to give it to you. I need the money to pay the wages. I want to save the world, right? So that's why I created 10 billion teleport tokens, because people already are buying them at 10 cents a piece. That values my teleportation system today at $1 billion. If I can sell enough to kind of solidify it, the moment the sale is over, they're going to be trading these on the crypto exchanges, and it'll be worth 10 billion. And then I'll have a $1.5 billion gaming fund to invest in you guys who want to develop games on the blockchain, and you don't have to raise the money because we've already got it. You just got to convince the gamers to vote for you, right? So that's the plan, and check it out. I'm sure you'll come up with some fantastic stuff, and thank you.